Beckman Coulter in the process of developing one of its most innovative diagnostic systems yet, the Razor. The challenge is to define, develop, and launch a next-generation family of products and services, enabling a laboratory to more efficiently provide chemistry and immunochemistry test results to their customers. And a great way to optimize the process of product development is direct market research. To ensure the best product definition process possible, Beckman Coulter teams up with Boston-based product development consulting firm PDC to create an innovative customer-centric 4-stage program. Stage 1, prepare for customer visits. Stage 2, process customer visit data. Stage 3, analyze customer requirements. Stage 4, generate solutions. Now the focus is on the voice of the customer, and after extensive preparations and workshops, Beckman Coulter sends out a select group of employees to meet the customers on site. This is the time to empathize with the end user and interview them firsthand to get a good feel for their daily lives and challenges at their workplace. It's all about finding out what it's really like to be that customer in the laboratory. 12 countries, 61 sites, and 172 interviews later, the teams regroup at Beckman Coulter to share their experience.
We ask our customer to spend about 30 minutes with us, but all of them spent over 2 hours with us. It was like they were pouring their heart out.
A laboratory manager in India told me, "This is not a vial of blood you hold. This is the patient you are holding in your hand." And I've carried that image with me ever since.
Now it's time for Stage 2. The teams are about to learn how to process and maximize the accumulated customer visits data in a series of workshops led by PDC Principal Sheila Mello.
I've learned that one of the biggest challenges that companies have is they go out and they do these great customer visits, and we've taught them how to do that, but when they come back, what do they do with all this information so that they can get the maximum amount of value from all of the work that they've done? And that's what we've been doing this week, is we're working through to get the different parts of the information from the transcripts. We have images, we have requirement statements, we have problem statements, we have frustrations, all of that in the transcripts. And what we're trying to come out of the transcripts with is a clear picture of what is it like to be a customer and what are their key requirements, so that we can then move forward from that and come up with a survey tool that we can use to get the quantitative, statistically significant information about which ones we should work with, how we should allocate our R&D dollars.
To effectively capture the voice of the customer and create an image diagram based on collected data, the team has to raise the question, what are the key images of the customers providing chemistry and immunochemistry test results to their customers? To find out, the team scans through 1,200 pages of transcripts looking for images the customers gave them during their interviews.
Know what it's like to be them. The key is it doesn't tell you what they want, what they need, and what they think in the future might be. We're going to go through and get rid of the things that aren't images here.
Once the team has laid out all 525 images, they group them before everyone gets a chance to read each label and red dot the ones they want to carry over into the next round.
The objective is to look at it and say, what's the best image of this category?
The process is repeated until the images are narrowed down to 24 key statements.
It's too freaking loud in there. I'm going deaf. I'm going deaf in there. I tell you. Oh, I threw that. Well, it's bad because I'm like, what did you say?
But occasionally those doctors would get quite upset with us. It's not a good thing because you've got a patient at that end and you need to act quickly on the results, because turnaround time for the A&E, the emergency work, they're demanding more and more of us all the time, and to get the results out to decide whether to keep the patient in or whether to let them go home.
It's time to scrub each selected label to ensure that each team member has the same understanding of the label. Then the images will be grouped by similarities or themes, and the team comes up with the titles for the groups. After that, they arrange groups to show cause and effect, and then develop a summary statement. The customer has a high level of responsibility to produce the right results at the right time because they are passionate to improve the patient care. Now that the team understands their customer's environment, they are ready to move on to the next phase of Stage 2, translate voices into requirements. They now go back to the transcripts, and this time they make sure they clearly state and document the customer requirements implicit in the verbal data from the interview. Requirement statements are the most critical output of the voice of the customer process, as they are the basis for product specifications and will provide new, deep insight to the development team. Once the requirements have been translated, the teams divide 400 post-its into 12 groups.
If everyone wants to know what groups we have communications, we have physical environmental, we have compatibility, we have a service which is diagnosis and troubleshooting, we have supplies management, performance quality of results, there's sample management, there's performance turnaround time, there's results management, there's training, and there's miscellaneous. This morning's goal is to get down, as we did the other day, to 35 or so labels so that you can pick your 24. And then we will scrub.
A few hours later, the team has redefined their top 24 key customer requirements necessary for providing chemistry and immunochemistry test results to their customers. Now it's time for grouping and titles. Time to wrap it up. The team calls it quits with a powerful summary statement based on their key customer requirements. We will enable our customers to improve patient care by delivering the right results at the right time every time. Over the next couple of days, the team will define the matrix and design a powerful survey questionnaire that will go out to customers worldwide. The purpose of the survey is to validate, prioritize, and optimize the customer requirements that were developed. Because the team interviewed a small sample of customers to derive these requirements, it needs to validate its interpretations and conclusions against a broader customer sample to generate a statistically significant set of data. Now that the results are in, the team regroups, ready to take on the final part of Stage 3, analyze the results of the survey. They go through the data and look for the main characteristics of the Kano survey. The first category are the delights. The second category are the must-be's. The third category are the one-dimensionals. The fourth category are the indifferences. While the team looks through the survey data of each requirement, they also have to assess the competition to see how well they meet each one of these requirements.
And then we say, okay, we need to be better than best in class on this requirement. On this requirement, we need to be 25% better. So it's not enough to just say better than best in class. You have to say how much. You need to set a target. Because the next few days we work together, we're going to come up with ideas. And we need to know, where do we push? You know, which are the requirements that we have to make sure we've got the real wows in and the real exciting opportunities. And so the session where we go through each of the requirements and come up with the what to do's and the targets is probably, for me, the key session, because it really says, how do you want to take your R&D dollars and how do you want to use them?
Now the group is ready to move on to Stage 4 and generate solutions.
The first thing we did was we went to brainstorming ideas. We had customers, salespeople, as well as people from different parts of Beckman Coulter. They got together to brainstorm ideas.
After 2 days of brainstorming, the group splits into 5 teams to come up with individual concepts. They generate ideas and combine them into solutions. 5 hours later, the teams are ready to share their ideas.
The intention here was to create a circular load system and avoid the whole cassette stuffing and unstuffing part. It actually would be the concept of a single, could be a driven-based thing through here, but it could connect in theory, I guess, directly to a TLA in a single kind of small puck fashion.
But be able to go down and keep it simple and keep in mind kind of dim sum reliability, and sometimes there are actually features that said, nope, that's just too complicated, it's not in here. So we actually did some trade-offs.
After all 5 teams have given their presentations, they regroup individually and refine their concepts one more time to make sure they paid equal attention to all elements. Then they are ready to evaluate them once more.
We evaluated them by constraints, all the different risk factors. So you have the technical risk for development for chemistry, automation risk. You have regulatory risk. You have the cost. How much is it going to, product cost going to be, the development cost going to be, what is the development time going to be, do you have a sustainable competitive advantage? And we look at each one of the features that any one of the 5 teams used. We develop the constraints for that, and then we also look at each of those features that any one of the teams use, and we decide how well they meet each of the customer requirements. And then that data gets used by the teams for them to assess their concepts.
After the team's final evaluation, the group moves on to the last part of Stage 4, select solutions. They equally favor Concept 4 and Concept 5 and decide to go with a combination of both concepts to build upon and create the final concept from it.
And we deleted and added to that concept to come up with what is now the final concept for the middle to upper end of the diagnostic marketplace. And it enabled the group to really put their hands around something and say, okay, now we know what it is we're going to do. Now we are at a point where the team can move forward.
So now that we have a concept and solutions and requirements and thus forth, we have a core team for Razor that will take this, what we've done with MDPD, and then work from that to develop our project going forward.